name is Vina, aka Miss WC Reader, and welcome back to my channel. It's a hot day, so I'm just trying to film this quickly. Welcome to my end of July wrap-up. So I'm going to start with the last book I read and work my way down. The last book I finished for the month was I Accidentally Summoned a Demon Boyfriend by Jessica Cage. It was my first Jessica Cage book. I didn't know what to expect. I had a feeling like it would be very absurd and like unserious just because of the whole topic, but I kind of expected it to lean more into like playing it straight than it did. So in this book we follow Raina. She's read way too many of those smutty monster romances and decided she's going to conjure a demon boyfriend just like the girl in the book, using the spell from the book, and it actually works. And the demon boyfriend comes and she's like, well, I've been drinking, so I'm just going to go ahead and fuck him. So, and then from there, shit just starts popping off. Like, next thing, she has these demons attacking him, and her best friends are like, girl, what is going on? Don't tell me you're having another mental breakdown. And I thought it would be a fun story, but I just found it hard to enjoy the character. I feel like she was almost 40, but she acted like early 20s. Very immature. The way she moved it, like, I could not believe this is a woman who operates multiple businesses by herself. And she, like, just the way in which we navigate the story, like, the best parts of it for me were the sex scenes. The other stuff, I feel like the world building was underwritten. It could have been better. I feel like this book was way too long for this type of story. Like, if you're gonna be unserious, like, it needs to be shorter than however many long pages it was, because I felt like this story was barely existent, and then it was just dragging on top of that. And I found myself struggling to get to the end there. Like, I barely made it through, and I only made it through because I bought the book. And then I went on Goodreads, and I'm like, well, everybody loves it, so definitely it's a thing. Like, this just did not work for me. Like, this is running around, acting weird, throwing up like she had no home training. I did like her little pet. That was cute. It said it was too on the nose for me. A lot of the comedy in here was just very, very, like, in your face. There was some stuff that was kind of like body shaming. So that wasn't fun, to just fall back on like the weak body shaming jokes for like part of the reason why she doesn't like have a man who's a regular man. Like, especially because we would do that, and then we had a conversation about black men and supporting black women, and black women not feeling like they are loved by the men who are supposed to love them. I'm like, you can't be completely ridiculous all book and then try and also squeeze in some serious conversations in there. Like, it wasn't matching. So yeah, this one was definitely not for me. I do want to pick up another Jessica Cage, because again, I don't know if all her books are just this unserious. Like, this is obviously a very different premise, and this is more comedic than her other stuff, so I'm going to give her another shot with one of her more recent fantasies to see if she's the author for me. So I also read Sounds Like a Plan. It's like a 3.5 star, I would say, for this one for me. I mostly ended up listening to it, and I had a good time with the audio. A lot of this definitely gave me like throwback detective show vibes, like very throwback detective show. So basically we have these two PIs were hired for the same case. They're like competing to see who can actually solve it to get this huge sum of money. So we have Jackson, who is like our male, and he is very old school type of like overly masculine type of man. Like, women can't tell me what to do. Women can't do my job better than me, blah, 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 blah. She does have to end up checking him a few times. There were times like where Jackson would make jokes that were just like insensitive, inappropriate. I don't know why the editors let that go through in a book. Like, I don't know why the editors didn't edit that part, like those parts out, because like that's like catnip for people to pick at. He does actually like see our main female Mackenzie as more like his equal, because first of all, she can kick ass and could kick his ass, and she was just a much better strategist than him overall. But there was something like he said jokingly in here that was just like, what the fuck? But then like he was unserious. He was like trying to say it just to get a rise out of her, and I didn't appreciate that. It's not really a romance either. I thought it was a romance based on this cover that they gave it, but it's nothing like a romance at all. Like there is a mutual attraction between them, and they like do kiss and stuff at one point, but it's not really a romance. I could easily see this being a series, but they would need to improve on stuff, and like kind of like some of the, like I said, some of like the jokes in here did not land, or like were just vastly inappropriate. But still, it was a good listen, a very quick read. The dialogue was pretty good. Like just the pacing was done really well. So it does make me curious to read more books by these authors. Specifically, Pamela Samuel Young, because I haven't read anything by her yet, and I thought Mackenzie was such a really well done character. I also read the Townsen family recipe for disaster, and I would not have probably picked this up had I not met the author in person at an event a couple of months ago, just because these aren't the types of stories that I normally read. And I really did end up enjoying it. It really surprised me. So we're following this character who is a biracial woman, and she grew up with her white family, but she's about to marry into an even whiter family. So she decides to finally reconnect with her black family after her grandma dies by showing up to the grandma's funeral. Like, she's been so disconnected from her black family, like she always was, but it got like even worse after her father died, because he at least used to go back and visit his family from time to time. So she's putting all this emphasis on this big like cookout that was done on 4th of July every year that her dad used to fly out for, without knowing any of the context behind it. So she ends up learning some family secrets and some things she didn't want to know, and she also has to deal a lot with coming to terms with the way in which she navigates race as a biracial woman, which I appreciated, because I don't see this type of conversation had in a lot of books by biracial authors, or just featuring biracial characters in general. I feel like a lot of times when I do get stories with biracial characters, it's just like, well, they're black, so that's that. But no, you like, they are navigating both being black, in like, well, in the case that they are black, they're navigating being both black and another race, and that does affect how they are going to operate in the world. So I love the honest conversations that the author, as a racial woman, had put in here, as far as how our main character lets her white family get away with saying racist stuff without checking them. The way in which she decided to run back to her black family because she was tired of feeling like the other, and somewhat expected them to just embrace her and put her on this pedestal. And it had like very real life conversations that we're having that I just don't see them in books. And I thought like the whole idea of not really being close to either of your family, and coming into this type of situation was done really well, because that's something like, as somebody who lost my dad in the past year, I had to think about that too, like the way in which I'm going to navigate my relationship with his family that does not live around me, because I live around some of his cousins, but all his siblings live away from me. So it's like trying to figure out, how do you keep a relationship with these people when that person who was your tie to them is gone now? So I thought that part of the book was very relatable and interesting to me too. And I just loved how our main character, May, ended up growing a backbone and being able to speak up for herself. I read The Trickster in the Vase. This is a like one of those beginner chapter books. I thought this was really interesting. The author is from Philadelphia. I am trying to read more authors who are based in Philadelphia, so shout out to that. And I think this is just going to be a fun one to be able to gift the kids, because I'm always looking for stories with black boys, especially because I have like a little nephew who needs to see himself in the pages of these books. So in this one, we're following these twins, Eddie and Nosa. They are advised to stay out of Baba's office and not touch anything. They go in anyway, and they accidentally unleash a trickster, Orisha, onto the neighborhood, who starts wreaking havoc. I thought the illustrations in here are amazing. You can see that, like, really, really pretty. They said it's short, it's quick, it's a good, solid intro to fantasy for the kids who maybe like are starting to have an interest in that type of stuff. So here I have Gamerville. This one is by Johnny Christmas. I loved Swim Team by Johnny Christmas. I thought one was really well done. This one, I wasn't as impressed. Like, I get the concept of it. So it's about a boy who is obsessed with video games. His mom sends him to this camp called Camp Reset so that he can detach from the screens and learn to interact with regular people in a healthy way. And it just got way, way, way too preachy for me. Like, I've been noticing with a lot of children's literature that subtleness is just gone. Like, we don't expect like the kids to be able to pick up context clues anymore, and I don't think like just flat out handing them the message over and over again is helping in that regard. Like, the way in which this that like screen time is bad over and over and over again, like, yes, we understand how screen time can be bad, we understand about cyberbullying, we understand like all these different things. I'm not saying that they weren't important conversations. It was good to have all these different conversations, because we also do have a character who is more of like the traditional camper who is not trying to move into the future, and there's a good bridge to have between the past and the present, and that conversation was interesting. But the stuff surrounding the way in which he played video games was just too heavy-handed. And then he kept getting these headaches, like, and dizziness or something. I didn't understand, like, I guess they were supposed to be withdrawal symptoms, but like symptoms, but I didn't understand why. I'm like, why is he getting dizzy? Why is he constantly dehydrated? Like, I mean, he wasn't really drinking enough water, but also that had nothing to do with the video games. Like, you can play video games and be hydrated. So, like, I was so confused by that part. Yeah, but this was just not, like, as good as Swim Team. This was okay. I appreciate what it was trying to do, but, like, they were hammering into you, like, the morals. So that's everything else that I read for the month. The second half of the month, I will say, was much, much slower for me. I was supposed to read like a lot the last week, and then I just ended up reading like fanfic, watching TV, writing a lot, which, I mean, writing is always a good thing. Moving forward, I'm so close to being done with this first draft of this story that I've been writing forever. But I'm hoping to like amp it up in August and get back on track with my reading. So let me know if any of these books sounded interesting to you, or, you know, you can just leave me a Sun OG. We are still in the dog days of summer, and I'm kind of thinking fall soon. I'm ready for fall at this point. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!